Hello, this time I'm going to talk about variables and parameter substitution. We've already seen variables before. A good example would be, for instance, user. So echo, let's try this out. This variable is called an environmental variable because it's set by the system, your shell, as you log in, and it's something that can be read by other programs. In this case, it's going to represent your username. So if I were to do echo $, in all uppercase user, you're going to actually get back your username, which in this case mine is Air Jordan, yours is going to be whatever your username is. Now there's a convention here. First of all, to denote calling up a variable, you'll use the $. So the $, and whatever follows it is going to be the name of the variable that you'd like to use. And in this case, notice how these are all capitalized. It's not necessary to capitalize your variable, but we tend to do that. It's also easy to distinguish them in case you, so you don't overwrite other stuff. You know, like this is different than an underscore user because maybe like user is a command or something. Well, this is just to kind of keep it separate and for you to understand what it is very clearly by keeping it capitalized. Anyway, so that's an example of a variable, and we can actually make our own, and it's not very hard to do. This is where the equal sign will come in useful. So for instance, we could do this. We could say, hello. I don't have to do a $sign right now because this is the assignment part. We're assigning this right here, this word, we're going to assign a value to it. So equal sign. Notice how I'm not adding spaces yet. Spaces are important here. So just keep it together like this. So hello equals, no spaces. And then I'm going to put something in here. So just some raw text and say hello world, just like that. So that's all there is to it, is that the first part is going to be the name of the variable you'd like to create. This equal sign is the assignment operation. And then I'm not adding spaces here. And then now I'm saying that it should be equal to a just text. In this case, it's just going to be the string hello world. And then I hit enter. And then why don't we go ahead and try echoing that? This is where the $sign comes into play because now you're trying to call it up. If I were to not have that $sign, it wouldn't know the difference, it wouldn't know it's a variable, it would get confused, so it's just going to be printing hello in capital letters. But now when I add the $sign here, you will see that it's going to print that stored value. And this can come in pretty useful because you can store outputs as well. Like you could store the listings of a file, you could store the working directory, a location to a working directory. You can do a lot of things. So this can come in useful when you want to make a pipeline or something and you need to have some predefined variables that will really save you some time. Now the duration of this variable is going to be for your session. So if you log out or something, it's gone, it's erased. Now there is the option of exporting it as an environmental variable. I won't get into that I think this time, but that's something you can do. It allows some scripts to read that variable. There's also something called your path. This might come up sometime if you need to install a script or something. Your path is just, it's where the OS is going to look for commands and other things. So user slash user, this is in pretty much everyone's path. It's a bin full of binaries. That's what the bin comes from. And it's where a lot of the useful commands are that we use. Now that's added to your path by default. So that means it's going to look in there for certain commands, and then that's just going to autocomplete for you. So like for instance, I could, well actually it's just any command. You see I'm looking at stuff and these are not in, you'll notice these are not in my directory, my working directory. However, it is looking through my paths that I have defined to see if there's anything like that name. And in this case, these are going to be binaries, useful programs I could use. So you can make your own paths. You might want to, for instance, later on, come up with some handy tools and scripts and then put it in a little folder or a directory, and then you can have that be a path so that no matter where you are, you can call them up and use them. That's a really handy tactic. But again, I won't get into that just yet for this. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear this. Another thing we can do is called parameter substitution, where we're actually not showing that text, we're substituting it for something else. And I can give you an example of this. For instance, echo. You might be wondering, what the heck is this going to do? Well, first of all, this is like a grave accent mark. It's where your tilde is, so it's right above the tab. And when you surround something with this, you're saying that actually you're evaluating a separate command and a separate output. So the standard out, or whatever gets evaluated in here, is going to actually be substituting what this is right here. So I'm not going to be echoing this thing. I'm going to be echoing the results of it. So echo, echo, hello world. Well, should be echoing hello world, so this will just spit out hello world. Thus, this should also spit out hello world. And as you can see, that's what I can get back. And we can also store things this way too, which is kind of nifty. So I could do my dir. Not at all what I should be doing here. My dir, or how about this? Cur directory equals ls. And now if I echo it, you'll see that this is my home directory, so I had a bunch of stuff in here, but it stored it. So now it evaluated that ls and stored it in that variable. So I can call up now anywhere. I can change it to something else. I always have these files on hand, so it can be a kind of a useful thing to do. So that's an example of parameter substitution. So now you should be familiarized with variables now, and also how to substitute parameters. And these will become way more useful later on when I talk about things like shell scripts. But just keep in mind that these exist for now.